Hello Stampers, Kelly Acheson at stampabove.com coming to you from Menasha, Wisconsin in the United States. And I say that because the card that I'm featuring today is part of the Totally Techniques International Blog Hop. We are featuring Brusho today. And this is one of my favorite new products. If you follow me, you have seen other videos that I've made. If you don't follow me, click down here to subscribe, and you'll find my blog address right in the top right corner. Thank you so much for joining me today and taking a little bit of time out of your day to see what I have in store for you. Isn't this cute? The Myths and Magic bundle is part of the Occasions mini catalog, and this is the first time I've actually pulled it out. I've got this card, and then I've got another card that uses the dragon in the stamp set Magical Day. The dragon's going to be breathing some fire that is made, or should I say created, with the Brusho crystal colors. I think you're going to love it. Let's get started and I'll show you how to make this. The first thing I like to do is show you my cardstock layers. So I've got a piece of lemon lime twist. This is 4 1/4 by 11. I've scored it at 5 1/2 and burnished it with my bone folder. I've got basic black here that's 4 by 5 1/4. A piece of watercolor paper that is 5 1/8 by 3 7/8, and then a scrap of Pacific Point and a scrap of Whisper White. And the first thing I want to do is do the Brusho technique, so that has time to dry while we're doing some other elements. I'm just going to bring in some scrap paper here to protect my work surface. And here comes my watercolor paper. So to make my little mermaid card, I used the Prussian blue, and I'm just going to sprinkle some of that on my watercolor paper. And it's really might be hard to see in the camera, but there is powder coming out. I know sometimes this is when you first get your Brusho crystal colors, you're going to take a pokey tool or a thumbtack and you're going to poke a hole or two. This piece has, I think this only has 1 hole in it. You can decide if you need to open that up and get more powder coming out, but you don't want much because this is so very concentrated. Okay. I hope the camera can see just how very little powder is on there. I know I shook that for quite a while, but there really isn't a lot of powder on here. You don't need much to do this. And now I'm going to come in with a spritzer, and I'm going to spritz water all over this piece. And I think I want some green in here. So now I'm just adding some of the moss green. I'm going to add a little bit more blue. Isn't it just kind of crazy? The more water you put on it, the powder bursts, the color like bursts in the powder and makes these great, fabulous designs. Okay. I'm going to just set this aside and let it dry. If you want to, you can take a tissue and you can wipe up some of these little puddles that are taking place at the edges. And I'm just going to blot those off a little bit. And then I'm going to set this aside. And then when I'm working here, I just kind of like to wipe up any excess water that might be here. This is as bad as the mess gets. Some people say, oh, is it messy? No, it really isn't. That's it. You do want to put some paper down, but now we're just going to leave this sit. And my gosh, you can see the beautiful colors that are taking place here. And this is going to look like the sea or the background for my mermaid card. Now we've got some other work to do here. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some liquid glue and add the card front black layer. This is really going to make the card pop. I didn't put this on the finished card that I showed you earlier, but I'm adding it now and I think it's going to be really cool. This is a piece that I made a little bit earlier. It's completely dry now, and I used the same blue, the green, and also some of the orange, and you can see the colors bursting here. I did a little stamping and die cutting with this piece. The other piece is going to be our background, but this one we're going to stamp and die cut. So I just want to put my "You Are One of a Kind" right here. And because I'm using watercolor paper, I'm really kind of letting that soak in before I lift up my stamp. And you can see that didn't stamp very good there, so I'm going to try again. Let's go right over here. And that one turned out better. Watercolor paper sometimes is a little tricky to stamp on. I'm going to die cut this with one of the framelits that comes in the Magical Mates. You've got all kinds of framelits here that match our stamp set. So you can cut out all of these little creatures and then a bunch of other different little elements in here. Like we've got some waves and there's some little starbursty type things, the dragons, flames, all kinds of neat little elements in here. Before I die cut this, I'm also going to stamp some little seahorses. I think these are so cute. And I'm just going to stamp them around on my layer, getting some different colors here and there. And I want 5 of them. We've got this cute little seahorse. Isn't that adorable? I'm going to die cut those. And then with our Whisper White scrap, we're going to take the mermaid. Oh, and by the way, I'm using our black archival ink. And this is great when you're going to be doing anything with water. You want an archival ink. Stamp my little mermaid. Before I do anything more with her, I'm going to color her. So let's get that accomplished here. I'm using Bermuda Bay, Pacific Point, Daffodil Delight, and Peekaboo Peach. And to get ink in the lids here, you're just going to open up your ink pad a little bit and squeeze it good. And that's going to put some ink right there. An aqua painter is my favorite tool for using inks to color with. I'm going to take a little bit of my Pacific Point. I like to kind of dissipate that color a little bit by coloring on my scrap paper. And I'm just going to color my little mermaid. And now I'm going to clean off my aqua painter. And you just keep rubbing it back and forth until the water is clear. And now I'm going to come in with the Bermuda Bay. I thought this was a pretty color for our mermaid, and it kind of matches our background a little bit, right? And the yellow, we're going to give her some yellow hair. And then I decided I needed some skin. I don't like her skin being all white. So I pulled out my Peekaboo Peach, and then I really kind of wiped it off before I used it on my girl. I didn't want her to have a peach face and arms, but I did want to have her just a little bit of skin tone. And I think that worked out pretty good. And then there is a framelit to cut her out. Let's see, how does it go? Just like that. So you don't have to cut this out by hand. Heavens, we don't want to do that, right? Okay, I am going to take these pieces and I'm going to die cut all of them in the Big Shot, and I will be right back. One of the things I forgot to show you is I'm using the Swirly Scribbles Thinlit. This comes in the Swirly Scribbles, and I'm gonna die cut my waves for my ocean out of Pacific Point. Okay, let me clean up some of this stuff so we have some space to work here. And here comes all of our little bits and pieces. I think I'm gonna get this paper out of the way too. I'll just bring in one of my piercing mats. I like to work on that. Okay, here's our little mermaid, and look at that. You don't have to cut any of that out by hand. Woohoo! That works perfect. And then we've got our little seahorses here. I don't know if you guys remember, and this is probably really dating myself, and maybe they still have them, but do you remember the little packets? You would add water and you'd get these little seahorses. I used to get those when I was a kid, and I just thought they were so cute. You put them in water, and I don't know what they were, but they kind of swam around and did stuff. That's what this reminds me of. Okay, so I cut out a Pacific Point banner and also the banner out of our watercolor paper. And what I did with that is I just wanted kind of a frame on my banner that made it pop a little bit more than just the background that's going to be on our card front. So I took that banner and I cut it in half, and now I'm going to add some glue here, and I'm just going to bring my watercolor paper in here and line it up so I can get a border on the top and the bottom of that. I'm just going to make it pop a little bit. And that's just a great way to add a little bit more color. You don't have to cut it out by hand, and that works really good. So dimensionals on the back of that. I'm also going to be putting dimensionals on the back of my mermaid to make her stand out. And we're going to use one big dimensional on her head, and then some of these mini dimensionals. If you guys don't have any of these, you get like 700 in a pack. I love these little things. No more cutting dimensionals to fit stuff, right? So that's pretty cool. And our paper piece is pretty dry now. I'm going to take my swirly waves. Isn't this cool? I just love this look. I'm going to take my swirly waves and I'm going to kind of size it up here, and I'm going to cut it off. And I'll trim it to fit better in just a second. And I'm just going to add a little bit of liquid glue to the back here. And we're going to put this right on the side. And now I'm going to come in and trim these ends off so that they match perfectly with the edge of my watercolor paper. Oops. There we go. We're getting there, right? This card goes together pretty quickly. I did not turn off my video camera to allow this to dry. That's how fast it dried. And you saw how much water I put on there. So it does dry relatively quickly. And I think if I was going to make several of these cards up, I'd just make a whole bunch of the Brusho background and set those aside while I'm doing all the rest of this, right? And then we've got our cute little seahorses. I'm just going to add a dot of glue to the back of each one of these. See if I can stick my finger in the glue. I haven't yet. It's coming though, I can feel it. Aren't they just adorable? I love these little seahorses. And then of course the background on this paper is incredibly beautiful. Get my space cleaned off here a little bit. Okay, we are ready to put our card front on our card. And wasn't that simple? Not much to that. I'm not really sure what I'm going to do with this card, if I'm going to use it for a birthday card or, oops, I just grabbed one of our little seahorses. There we go, we'll put that back down there. Yeah, I like the black on there. What do you guys think? That's really going to make this pop. Okay. Now you have to kind of hold this down for a little bit because the watercolor paper was slightly warped. And now I'm pressing it down so the glue sticks good. And I know that my card front is going to stick on here nicely. Oh my gosh, isn't that cute? I didn't do anything to the inside of the card yet, like I said. I'm just going to leave that. I might add a happy birthday greeting on there. Or, you know, if you have some kids, this would be a great get well card. Or if they did something spectacular at school or in a sporting event, you could give them a card that says you're one of a kind and then write a really cool message like, wow, you're fabulous and look what you did. I think that's a cool idea. Are you ready to see the dragon card? Because I think that's really cool too. All right, let's bring in the dragon. Oh my gosh, you guys. I had so much fun making this. I made the Brusho go up like this, like it was the flames, and stamped my dragon there. So let me show you real quick how I did that. I'm going to just bring our paper back in here. And our Brusho. Now I use the red and the orange, so this is Brilliant Red, and I'm just going to kind of concentrate it up here in the corner. Now I'm going to come in with some orange. Maybe a little bit more red here. Let's see what happens. It all takes place when you spray it with the water. Now I'm kind of aiming my water to go that way up in the corner, okay? So that's what I kind of did there. And then you can come in with an aqua painter and you can kind of swirl down in here so you can kind of make it look like the dragon is breathing the fire. I'll clean that in a minute. I'm going to just grab this dragon stamp real quick. I get ink all over my fingers. Yep, and I had color on there, so make sure that your hands are clean. I just wiped that off and kind of made a mess. Well, it is what it is, right? It is what it is. Let's see what we can do with that. Here comes the dragon. And I'm just going to stamp it right over here. Oh my gosh, it turned out perfect, didn't it? Okay, now if you want to color the dragon, here's what I did with that. I'm going to just put some powder out here. I've got some red powder and some orange powder. I'm sorry if I'm bouncing my camera like crazy. I'm just going to take a little bit of this red. And I'm going to color my dragon. So you can paint with this stuff. You can spray, you can do all kinds of stuff. It's really very fun and very artistic. I'm using the bigger aqua painter right now, and you can see that I'm doing pretty darn good with it as far as some of these smaller things that I'm painting. I'll wait till I hit it with the orange. That's when things get really cool too. And you do have to use watercolor paper to do something like this. I've tried it with regular cardstock that wasn't watercolor paper, and it really just doesn't do it justice. The watercolor paper is fabulous. All right. Now I'm going to come in here and grab the orange that I tipped out of the bottle. And see, when you come in with this orange, if you go over the red, it's going to blend it nicely. Again, because it's watercolor paper, makes all the difference in the world. And I'm going to get some more orange out here. Now you could put this on a clear block and use it off of there, but I'm just putting it on my paper because it works fine from there too. You're seeing how easy this is, right? Oh my gosh, isn't that cute? It's just cute. And there's that hope your day is magical. And again, I haven't stamped anything on the inside yet. I will get to that later. I just wanted to show you the Brusho technique. Two very different ideas. We've got fire here and we've got water here. So again, thanks so much for joining me for this video today. If you don't have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, I would love to earn your business. And if you don't have our current catalogs and you are in the United States, I'd be happy to send them too if you pop me an email at kelly@astampabove.com. Make sure you tune in on Sunday nights on my Facebook page, A Stamp Above Your Creative Coach. I do a Facebook Live every Sunday evening at 6 p.m. Central Time. Would love to have you join me. I have lots of fun and drawings for giveaways too, so that's always cool. If you need to order any of these supplies, you can jump right onto my store. You can click right up here in the top right-hand corner. That'll take you right to my blog. And there's an online ordering link there. This Magical Mates bundle is stinking adorable. I think you would absolutely love it. Thanks again for taking time out of your day to watch this video. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Have a fabulous weekend. Bye-bye.